Well, this was a long time coming. Oh, hold up. I seem to be missing something. 1 second. No, not that. There we go. Just a little something special for the occasion. Now then, let's get started, shall we? Here we are. The original Japanese version of InuYasha, The Secret of the Cursed Mask. Known in Japan as InuYasha Juso no Kamen, which translated is InuYasha The Cursed Mask. This is my first time playing through the Japanese version, and I've been interested in checking out what any of the differences are from the English version. And to help me out, I have a translator on hand, so I can translate any of the text and draw comparisons. And in order to get the best possible translation... Hey Maria, what's up? In order to get the best translation possible for comparison, I'm going to be playing the exact same route that I did when I played the English version, which means this is going to be Michiru Kururugi with the Kagome Higurashi romance path. And there you have Michiru's name in Japanese, Kururugi Michiru, which I talked about before in the English version. With the surname Kururugi, meaning, what was it? To hold closed in this, wooden bolt in the sense of holding closed a door or window, and his given name meaning to fill. And with some help on someone who, with help from someone who, has a little bit of fun trying to figure out the name, Japanese name meanings. Supposedly, the full name meaning is to fill a space in a closed-off world. Which makes sense, not only given the game, but also just kind of the series in general. So, a thing of note, though, even though I do have a translator, any part of the game that has the characters speaking, but with no text to go along with it, I can't translate. I won't be able to... The translator won't be able to pick that up, so I can only translate text, so anything from the opening scenes, any in-battle dialogue, and other cutscenes, I'm going to trust that the English version was as accurate as possible. But with that, let's head in.
は？嘘！あの二人って付き合ってたの？声がでかいっつの。たく、お前はそういうことは疎いな。見てりゃわかるだろ。そうかな。まあ意外な例といえば。友和と桃江ちゃんもか？だから声がでかいっての。まったく。でもまだ中学生だし。何言ってんだよ。もう中学生だぜ。今時普通だよ。彼女がいるってやつ結構多いぞ。酒井だろ、アキラだろ、シーアンに、それから拓也もか。拓也も？俺知らなかった？うん、全然。なんかすげえショック。拓也とは仲いいつもりだったのに。まあお前には言いづらいだろうな。なんでだよ。だってまだいないんだろ。わかりやすいな、クルルギは。
次はクルルギ神社前、クルルギ神社前。お降りの方はボタンを押してお知らせください。
ほら、着いたよ。
ねえねえ、誰の名前書いたの？
内緒だよ。
ほら、こうして人形に名前を書くの。こうするとこの人に会えるのよ。そうなんだ。
やっべ、遅くなっちゃった。ごめんお父さん、遅れちゃって。
今日は人形送りの日だと知ってるだろ。
ごめん、ホームルームが長引いちゃってさ。すぐ着替えてくるから。
ああ、待て。ここはいい。それより裏の土蔵から呉服を取ってきてくれ。
オッケー。確か去年は奥の方にしまったと思うけど、横着しないで懐中電灯取ってくればよかったかな。うわっ、危ねえな。この板腐ってんじゃねえか。たくしょうがねえな。後で直しとくか。ここは。
Hey, Aldenix. Just didn't want to say anything while the opening played. So, we got our introduction to the character. Like I said, I'm unable to translate the anything that was said there. So, I'm just gonna, based on the names that were said on the bus, I'm going to assume that the English version was accurate in that regard. Something I would like to note, though, is Michiru Kururugi's Japanese VA was Takashi Kondo. Anyone who might know that voice might recognize it as Terry Bogard from the Fatal Fury series of games. So, I just find that interesting. Now then, something else that anyone who was here when I streamed the English version might recognize. There's some One second. I need to... give me 1 second. I need to get my mouse on screen. Here we go. So... isn't showing up. Yeah. So, these little symbols were not present in any of the dialogue in the English version of the game. These are more or less the Japan's equivalent of quotation marks for when characters are speaking in fictional media. There's a different set for when characters are talking about something, and I'll point that out as well. But there is something else that the Japanese version does that the English version doesn't, that makes dealing with dialogue in this game a hell of a lot easier. And I hate that the English version didn't do it. But to start, what does Michiru say here? Let's see. So, yeah, he's basically wondering, where am I? Oh, come on. Oh, right. Circle button. Because Japanese game.
なんで森の中にいるんだ。土蔵にいたのに。確か
And
土蔵の穴に落ちて。
here we go. There are brackets that are not present in the English version, and these are used to denote when Kururugi is thinking. This makes it so much easier to tell what dialogue is spoken dialogue and what dialogue is thought dialogue when it comes to this character. For the English version of the game, they don't use these or quotation marks when any character is speaking, so at times it becomes incredibly difficult to tell when Kururugi is speaking out loud or having inner dialogue. Now then, what are his line of thoughts here? I just gotta line this up. I can, because I don't have much space. Okay, so according to the translator, Michiru is wondering, why am I in the woods? I was in the storehouse. I think I fell into a hole. Which, yeah, he wonders pretty much the exact same thing. The wording is a little different in the English version.
うちはどこなんだよ。祭りの準備をしなくちゃ。
No. Thank you for the follow, Batty Stony. And welcome to the stream. Hope you enjoy. If you're still here. Let's see. This one. Oh, come on. Uh-oh. That didn't come out right. Give me 1 second. The translator came out weird on that one. So I need to look up something else. Just give me a moment. Okay, no, that doesn't give me that option, so I'm gonna have to... I'm gonna have to do something else. Let's see if this works. Okay. Here, Michiru is thinking, where am I? I have to prepare for the festival. What? Trouble? Yeah, unfortunately, with translators, they're not entirely accurate, I am aware, but they're the best. But since I can't read, speak, or really understand Japanese, it's the best option I have. So if the translator comes up with anything weird, I need to try and run the text through a different translator to see if I can get that fixed. To see if I can get something better than what the one I'm using, than the one I have on hand is doing. So, again, to repeat, Michiru is wondering, where am I? I have to prepare for the festival.
なんか変だな。こんなところ知らないぞ。
And here, after taking a few steps, he's like, hold on. And he's thinking, something's not right. I don't recognize this place.
父さん。
This I shouldn't need to translate, but he's trying to call out for his father.
お願いだよ。返事をしてくれよ。
And this is something a little interesting compared to the English version, because the English version is trying to suggest that Kururugi was calling out, like, please, someone answer me. But instead, it is his inner thoughts saying, please, come on, answer me.
父さん。母さん。
And now he's starting to panic a little from the run animation, and he's calling out for his, calling out father, mother, or mom, dad.
なんで返事をしてくれないんだよ。みんなどこに行っちゃったんだよ。
This. He's wondering, why isn't anyone answering? Where did everyone go? Which, again, the English version did pretty alright.
誰もいない。そんな。
And more thought dialogue, so let's see. He's inner dialogue, he's figuring there's no one here. Not good.
あ、そうだ、携帯。携帯でうちに電話をすればいいんだ。
And then here, more inner dialogue. Oh, right. My cell phone. I can just use my cell phone to call home. Which, again, the English version did pretty alright. Oh, okay. That one didn't get picked up all that well either, so let's try that through another different translator. Let's see. Okay. Here's going, wait, I can't get through?
ぱり通じない。外なのに電波が通じないなんて、なんでだよ。
And now inner thoughts, I still can't get through. Why can't I get a signal even though I'm outside? Which the English version more or less got accurate. Just, again, slightly different wording. By the way, yes, I am using a special PNG tube avatar courtesy of Aldenex. I am using a portrait of Michiru Kururugi ripped from the game that he put together for me for this. Specifically just so I could have a little bit of fun. Alright. So here, Kururugi finds some people and thinking to himself, oh, there's some people.
そうだ、人だ。あの人たちに聞けば、ここがどこかわかるはず。
Okay, that turned out weird, so let's try something else. Let's see. Yeah, it's... let's see if I'm getting this right. Yeah, he's confirming that he's seeing people. And, maybe if I talk to them, I can figure out where I am.
よかった。これで家に帰れる。
And then ends off with, thank goodness. Maybe now I can go home. Which, again, the English version handled fairly well.
あれ、着物着てるぞ。なんで着物なんか。
And then here, more inner thoughts. Hold on. They're wearing kimonos. Why are they wearing kimonos? Which, so far, the English version hasn't been too bad. The only thing that the Japanese version is doing better is how the voices sound. Because, absolutely, Michiru and every other character not from the anime in the English version definitely sounded a little off. And this villager is calling out, I found it.
Eh?
Easy enough. Kururugi's going, what? Or, huh? Yeah, and then the older one's going, like, there it is again. So, again, so far, English version has been pretty faithful.
見つけたってなんだよ。なんでみんな来るんだ。
And now, when these three villagers were approaching Kururugi in the English version, the dialogue definitely made it seem like Michiru was asking them, what do you mean you found it? And why are you coming towards me? But we can see from the Japanese version, this is inner thought. So Kururugi is saying, what do they mean they found it? Hold on, why are they coming towards me? And then here it's, be careful, it's a demon or yokai. I believe this is you. Let's see. Yeah. So this one was actually cut from the English version. Let's see if this is even turning up right. Oh, come on. So the villager is remarking that oh, come on. That it will probably take us away.
Yokai? ちょっと何を言ってるの?
And here Kururugi's asking, huh? Yokai? What are you... He's trying to ask, like, what are you talking about? But the English version did pretty alright here. With having Kururugi ask, Demon, what are you... And here the villagers asking, is yelling, you demon, or yokai, return my daughter to me. With Kururugi trying to, like, take things slow and say, wait a minute, I only... But then he got cut off. With another villager saying, catch it before it takes you. And the other villager saying, that's right, catch him, catch him. And the other villager shouting, capture it and bring back my daughter. Okay, and translator's being a little weird again. So, let's see what my other source can do. Let's see. So Kururugi's pretty much saying, let's see, trying to piece this apart when I don't know Japanese is a little weird. Not gonna lie. Let's see. So here Kururugi is pretty much thinking, at least from what translations I'm getting, is not good. They're trying to catch me. These people are weird. I don't understand. Or I don't understand what's going on. And here one of the villagers is saying, don't let him get away. If he does, he'll... if he does, he'll take you. I believe that's what it's trying to say. I'll run it through a different translator just to be sure, just to double check. Yeah, don't let him get away. If he gets away, he'll kidnap you next, or something along those lines. And then the woman's basically saying, like, trying to, oh, frick, what the hell am I trying to say? Is basically saying, don't let it get away. And here Kururugi is trying to get them to back down, saying, hold on, stay back, and then lets out a cry, probably because he nearly stumbles, but unfortunately the game's models don't have that good of animations, so we're kind of stuck with the limited stuff we have to work with. And then he just runs away. So instead of telling himself that he needs to run, let's see. Now we get a pretty heavily altered scene compared to the English version. So, here in this scene, Kururugi's wondering, like, just what's going on. Like, yeah, you see all that text, according to the translator I'm using, it just comes up to, what the hell is going on? So, I'm just gonna double check real quick. Yeah, okay, so he's pretty much wondering, like, just what's going on? Or I have no idea what's going on. And he's wondering about his mother and father. Something moved in the bushes and surprised him. And here he's wondering, what was that sound? And here, in the English version, Kururugi calls out, "Are you joking? A demon now?" But here, with Kururugi's inner thoughts, is he sees what's approaching and going, "What is that thing?" And we get the demon. Here's the difference between the Japanese version and the English version. In the English version, the demon has spoken dialogue and just keeps, like, taunting Kururugi. The demon does not speak in the Japanese version. They outright added entire dialogue for the English version. You'll see soon enough. But here, Kururugi is saying, he's basically just saying, like, stay back, don't come any closer. And here he's thinking, saying, help me, Dad. Like, he's mentally trying to call for his dad to help and pleading for the demon not to approach. This was not in the English version. Kururugi was not calling for help. And as Kururugi runs away with this, supposedly he ran into a dead end. He got himself trapped, and he's like, not good. In the English version, this is where the demon would roar at him, would roar at Kururugi and say, I'm gonna eat you, but that's not the case here. Because again, the yokai does not speak in the Japanese version. He's just chasing down Kururugi. Let's see. Double check translation. So basically Kururugi's going, no way, what the hell is this? Stay back, don't come any closer. But and then he's taken out by the red light. So the demon did not say a single word, and yet the English version decided to add entire dialogue for it. Interesting choice, but okay. And here, now that he's kind of lost consciousness, he's wondering, what happened to me? And finishing his thoughts is, did I die? Japanese is smaller, so it's easier to fit more dialogue in. Yes, but if you noticed, like, from the dialogue box, there was no dialogue box for the yokai. Like, it didn't speak at all. And yet the English version decided to give it lines that it was never intended to have. Sometimes the changes they make in English or something. Yeah, no, the English version added content that wasn't there. The yokai never spoke in the Japanese version, but it does in the English. So we're already getting some pretty interesting differences. So here, the voice we're hearing is asking if we're awake. Changes are normal, but man, sometimes I don't get it. Trust me, we're gonna get into some interesting ones pretty soon. So now Kururugi's like, hold on, I hear someone? And then realizing, oh, I'm alive. And then opens its eyes to see InuYasha. And now he's going like, huh? Who are you? Dog ears? Whoa! More or less. And then InuYasha is being like, hey, hold on a minute.
別に取って食おうってわけじゃねえんだから逃げんなよ。
Now then, here. Whoa, that is a weird translation, so let's try something else. Okay, so now we have InuYasha saying, "Hey, why are you acting so scared? I'm not gonna eat you or anything, so there's no need to run." More or less what he said to Kururugi in the English version.
だって犬の耳だし牙だって生えてるし。
And then here we have Kururugi is, "But you have dog ears and even fangs."
怖いよ、来るなよ。
And then saying, "I'm scared, like, don't come near me," which, again, pretty much the same thing Kururugi says in the English version.
わかんねえやつだな。
And here InuYasha is saying, oh, hold on. I think that one turned out a little weird. Give me a second. Wow. Okay, I got weird translations from both ends that are completely different from each other. Let's see. So, according to Google Translate, InuYasha is saying, "That's a dumbass guy." According to the translator I have on my phone, he's saying, "You don't know what you're talking about." So, the only thing I can figure is InuYasha's going, "I have no idea what you're complaining about."
それよりおめえすげえじゃねえか。さっきの技一体どうやったんだ。
And then here, the translator on my phone is acting weird again, so let's see what Google Translate has to say. Yes, again, I know Google Translate is not reliable. A lot of people are like, don't use Google Translate for translations. I get it. But I don't really know many other translations that I have had good runs with. And while the one I have on my phone has had some pretty good turnouts, in times where it's had issues like it's having now, Google Translate's been the other source that has been my other source to get some pretty good translations that I can then kind of piece together. So here, InuYasha is remarking, more importantly, that move you just did was amazing. How on earth did you, how did you do that? Indicating that he saw whatever the light was that Kururugi used to destroy the yokai. Which the English version was like, in the English version, InuYasha said, "Never mind that, you did great. Just what kind of technique was that?"
お願いだからほっといてくれよ。
And this was a part that wasn't in the English version either. Because InuYasha, in the English version, InuYasha immediately followed up with, "You destroyed that demon by shining that light on him." But here, Kururugi is requesting InuYasha to just leave him alone.
ビカッと光って妖怪をのしてたよな。
And InuYasha specifically said, "Oh, come on, translator. You did so well for me before. Why are you acting up now?" Let's see. So here, InuYasha... Oh, no. No. Oh, no. So InuYasha is more or less saying you slew that demon by shining that light.
技妖怪
Come on now. And that got Kururugi's attention again. Because he's going... because he's... Oh, hold on. What? Translators, I swear. Yes, I know it would be better if I could actually read or understand Japanese. I'm sorry. I'm a dumbass. But, Like, I'm not good at learning other languages. But here Kururugi's like... Wait, yokai?
そうだ僕妖怪に襲われてたんだそれであの光るものが
And then remarks, that's right. I was being attacked by a yokai. And then that light. Which, again, Kururugi, the English version, more or less got down.
僕どうしてここに
And then Kururugi's asking, where am I?
そういえばおめえの服カゴメみてえだな
And then InuYasha is saying, by the way, your clothes look similar to Kagome's, which InuYasha does point out.
気がついたらここにいたんだうちの土蔵の中にいたはずなのに
And then Kururugi, ignoring what InuYasha said, keeps going on his own, saying, I suddenly found myself here. I was supposed to be in my family's storehouse.
待てよ
And then InuYasha's just trying to say, like, can you wait?
この辺に交番か何か
Oh, this is interesting. And then here, Kururugi is asking, is there a police box or something around here? This wasn't something that was in the... Again, this was not in the English version. This part of the conversation was cut. Kururugi never mentions, like, a police station or anything of the sort.
その妙な服からするとお前現代ってとこから来たんだろ
And then InuYasha remarks, like, judging from your odd clothes, you came from the present, didn't you?
交番がなかったらバス停か駅とかでもいいから
And then Kururugi, it keeps rambling, like, if there's no police box, like, is there a bus stop or something?
現代
But then finally starts hearing what InuYasha says and goes, wait, the present?
なあ
InuYasha, that's right.
それはどういうこと
And Kururugi is asking, like, could you explain what you mean? In the English version, when InuYasha asked, you came from the present, didn't you? They instead had Kururugi say, do you know where I came from? Please tell me, before going like, hold on, the present, what do you mean? This makes a little bit more sense because Kururugi's like, I have no idea where I am. Like, can you point me towards any of these things that I know of? that can help me figure things out. And then he picked up on InuYasha mentioning the present and is like, what do you mean?
現代ったら
And then InuYasha's like, responding with,
現代だよ
yeah, the present, you know, the present. The same way he does in the English version, but he's getting frustrated because he doesn't know what the present is.
待ってよ。お願いだから分かるように説明してくれないかな。
And now Kururugi is saying, hold on, I don't understand what you're saying. Could you please explain?
だからめんどくせえついてこいよ
And now InuYasha's just kind of fed up and going, what a pain. This is such a pain. Just follow me.
行くってどこへ
And then Kururugi's asking, where are you going?
楓の村だカゴメに聞けばいろいろわかるかもしれねえしな
Freaking translator. Let's see. So Kururugi asked, wait, where are you going? InuYasha said, Kaede's village. If you ask Kagome, she might be able to tell you more.
楓の村ってうわ
And here, Kururugi is repeating Kaede's village because that's unfamiliar to him. So he's trying to go... So he's trying to be like, where's Kaede's village? But then InuYasha grabs Kururugi's hand.
もたもたすんじゃねえよ
And is basically saying, hey, hurry up and move. And they leave. And immediately appear in Kaede's village. In the English version, there is an entire section between those 2 points where you can run around in and get some early game fights. I consider it the tutorial area. That is not here in the Japanese version of the game. That does not exist. That was an area that the English version exclusively added. I don't know why, but that's the case. That also means you do not meet Miyoga early. The first point that it seems you first are supposed to meet Miyoga in the Japanese version of the game is on your first day off. But in the English version, in that little area, on the first screen where you can get into fights, InuYasha's like, hold on, I smell some demons, so let's fight them. And if you get into a fight on that screen and finish it, let's see, that might be why some of the dialogue and scenes are missing from the English version. Here's the thing, not entirely, because I haven't seen any instance in the Japanese version of any similar dialogue of doing a fight tutorial. Because I'm going to be perfectly honest, I did play a little bit of this Japanese version of the game on my own time, but I did not get far. I didn't leave Kaede's village, so I don't know how the game is like beyond that in the Japanese version. There might be a section for fighting tutorials after you leave the village. I don't know. But if it is still in the game, then I can only assume that the English version moved it to an earlier point, but otherwise, it does not exist in the game. And in that case, the English version added more dialogue that wasn't there. That was not originally in the Japanese version. Which means that either the English version took a section of the game that's shortly after Kaede's Village and moved it earlier, so players can get into some actual gameplay a bit earlier, or the English version requested the development studio to create an entire area early on in the game specifically for the English version, just so that North American players could have something to do, because it does take a little bit before you can actually get into any action. So, you arrive in Kaede's Village, and Kururugi, and there was a guy with a horse that went by, and Kururugi is going like, there's no way, a horse? In the English version, InuYasha asks Kururugi, don't tell me you're afraid of a horse. But here, that is not at all what he's saying. He's saying, hey, why are you dragging behind? Or why did you stop so suddenly? And then Kururugi's asking, this place... With InuYasha saying, can't you tell by looking? This is Kaede's village. And then Kururugi's going, but there was a horse. InuYasha's like, well, it's a village. Of course they have horses. So, in the Japanese version, InuYasha doesn't get on Kururugi's ass about being afraid of a horse. Kururugi's just like, but there was a horse just now. And InuYasha's like, well, yeah, it's a village. Of course there's going to be horses. So the English version, unless after this InuYasha's like, don't tell me you're afraid of a horse, then the English version straight up changed the context of this scene. So Kururugi's going like, there's no way. Let's see. There's... whoops. Hold on. Some of that's a little weird. Let's try a different translator. Oh, come on now. Let's see. So, now Kururugi's saying... There's no telephone poles, and people are walking around with top knots. Is this really Japan? Because, of course, he still hasn't gotten it across that shit, weird shit's going on. And now InuYasha's going like, I have no idea what you're talking about, so just hurry up or I'll leave you behind. I know that took a bit. It's already been an hour and we only just arrived in Kaede's village. because I do have to translate stuff, and that takes a bit because I have to try and read off the translation and try to reword it in a way that works. Like, in a way that makes sense while being as accurate to what's being said in Japanese. Alright, and we're back. Let's see. Right, so I'm back on this screen. InuYasha is saying, look, I have no idea what you're sorry. Saying, look, I have no idea what you're talking about, so just come with me, or I'm gonna leave you behind. And a familiar voice. And now we have Kagome calling out InuYasha and saying, hold on, InuYasha, just where have you been? She doesn't mention anything about... So, now we're getting some more stuff that was removed from the English version. So, to begin with, in the Japanese version... or in the English version, Kagome immediately followed up by asking InuYasha, like, where have you been? There were some demons just outside the village and we could have used your help. You're never there when we need you. But in the Japanese version, upon seeing Kagome, Kururugi remarks, a sailor uniform. And so the English and Japanese version went really different here. In the English version, like I said, Kagome calls out to InuYasha, asks him where he's been, and that there were some demons causing trouble just outside the village and they could have used his help, and then remarking that he's never there when they need him. With InuYasha following up, if you mean those little demons, I already took care of them. And then Kagome's like, oh, you did? Then sees Kururugi and is like, wait, who are you? Here in the Japanese version, Kagome calls out to InuYasha and asks where he's been. Kururugi sees what Kagome is wearing and audibly recognizes that it's a sailor uniform, which catches Kagome's attention, so she looks at Kururugi and let's see, and questions, huh? Who are you? And again, in the English version, after Kagome finally sees Kururugi and asks, who are you? InuYasha steps in and says, oh yeah, I found this kid outside the village and I brought him here. Or I brought them here. Instead, when Kagome asks, who are you? Kururugi immediately responds with no interjection by InuYasha. And Kururugi says, thank goodness, where are we? Like, this place doesn't look like Japan at all. Actually, is that what he said? Like, I know the first part is, like, thank goodness, do you know where I am? Let's see, the rest of it is... Yeah, this place doesn't look like Japan. So, thank goodness, do you know where I am? This place doesn't look anything like Japan.
馬がいるし、それからちょんまげをした人も妖怪までいる。
And then he goes on his more or less the same ramble. Hey, Kinmokose! Welcome to the stream! Glad to have you here. You're so late? Ah, you're not all that late. We're, like, we only just arrived in Kaede's village. Not a lot happened. Kururugi fell through the floor, got attacked by the demon, and then got woken up by InuYasha. The only reason it took me like an hour to get to here is because I have to translate. But it's nice to have you here. I hope you enjoy my fumbling about with the Japanese version trying to translate. So, Kururugi is going on the little ramble. Oh, sweet. Good. I haven't missed much that I haven't seen before. The only thing that you did miss, Kinmokose, is when I remarked, was when Kururugi was being attacked by the demon had no dialogue. Even though the demon had dialogue in the English version. And then the tutorial area at the start, before you arrive in Kaede's village, does not exist in the Japanese version. So far, it does not exist. It has not appeared yet. If it does exist, it hasn't appeared yet. So, now we're getting into the really juicy stuff that was removed from the English version. You're gonna want to pay attention to this, because this is where stuff gets good. So, Kururugi's like, thank goodness a person wearing clothes I recognize. Do you know where I am? This place doesn't look anything like Japan. Like, there are horses around, there are people with top knots, and even yokai.
携帯は通じないし、交番はないし、車も走ってないし、コンビニもスーパーもないんだよ。
And then just keeps going. Like, there's no cell service, no police station, no cars. I don't even see any kombini, which is how the Japanese shorten convenience stores, or even supermarkets. In the English version, Kagome responds with "nuh-uh," as in like, no, there certainly isn't. But here in the Japanese version, she's going like, oh, this is a little much.
君、どこの学校？その制服どこかで見た気がする。
Here's where we get
学校だよね。
Here's where we get some juicy stuff. I already went through this section before, and my mind was blown when I ran this through translator. This section does not exist in the English version. But here Kururugi is asking, what school are you from? I think I've seen that uniform somewhere. I bet it's a nearby school. This line is nowhere in the English version. But this implies that Kururugi has seen Kagome's girls' school's uniform before and is pretty certain that her school is either near his own school or his home, the Kururugi Shrine. So the big implication here that I'm getting from this, the one first is the one that I personally prefer, is that Kururugi and Kagome have crossed paths at least once before without realizing it. And that's where Kururugi saw the uniform. The other possibility is that Kururugi just saw some other girl from Kagome's school and recognizes the uniform from them. Or Kururugi has seen or been near Kagome's school and seen the uniforms there. There are some heavy implications here. It's always so fascinating to see the differences between the languages. It's wild that they cut that out when it honestly adds so much more to their interactions. It absolutely does. Like, in the English version, after Kururugi goes on his little rant of, like, there's no police station, no cars, no convenience stores, supermarkets, my cell phone doesn't work, InuYasha butts in and says, a second ago you were bawling, but now you're just kind of going nuts. So this extra bit of dialogue just was not there.
僕家に帰りたいんだ。
And here Kururugi finishes with, oh, hold on. Oh, maybe that translation came out a little weird, maybe. So let's run that through a different. Yeah, so remarking on the familiarity of Kagome's school uniform, asking what school she goes to, and that it possibly might be somewhere close, again, either close to the school Kururugi goes to, or Kururugi's home, the Kururugi Shrine. Kururugi lets out a sign saying, I really want to go home. I really want to get back home.
ちょっと待って。一体何が何だか。
And Kagome is taken completely off guard, saying like, wait, hold on a second. I have no idea what's going on. Because Kururugi just kind of went off and didn't really give Kagome a chance to respond. Like, he was just like, there's no this, no this, no this, no this, but like, you look familiar, where you go to school, and all that.
なんだか知らねえけど、すげえ勢いだな。
And then InuYasha goes with, oh, hold on. Let's run this through something else. Because that turned out weird. Let's see. Yeah, basically says, I don't know why, but, like, that was a lot of momentum. Because, like, again, Kururugi just kind of went off and just kept going.
ごめん。やっとまともな人に会えたと思って嬉しくて。
And then here, Kururugi's like, I'm sorry, I thought I finally met someone familiar, so I got a bit happy. And of course, he's remarking familiar because Kagome is wearing a familiar set of clothes to him. So he's like, oh, like, that's something I recognize. Maybe I can connect with them and they can help.
それはそうよね。わかるわ。でもお願いだから落ち着いて。
And then Kagome saying, that's fair, and like, I completely understand, that's fair, but please, you need to calm down.
私は日暮かごめ。中学3年よ。で、こっちは犬夜叉っていうの。
And then she follows up with, my name is Kagome Higurashi. I am a third year in junior high, and this is InuYasha.
それで、あなた、現代から来たと思うんだけど。
And then closed off with, that being said, I think you came from the present.
そうなんだ。 土蔵で穴に落ちて気を失って、そうしたら森にいて。
Or, considering InuYasha had previously said, like, you're from the present, aren't you? And Kururugi didn't know what he meant. The way Kagome would have phrased it is, I think you came from the modern day. Like, you're not really in the modern day anymore. And Kururugi said, pretty much tells her what he tried telling InuYasha before, like, he was in the family storehouse, fell into a hole, and next thing he knew, he found himself in the woods.
やっぱり
And Kagome is pretty much like, that explains it.
あのね、落ち着いて聞いてほしいんだけど、ここは現代じゃないの。
And then, pretty apologetic looking face, makes sense. But he's saying, okay, I'm gonna need you to listen very carefully to me. This is not the modern day.
現代じゃない？それじゃ一体。
And then Kururugi is like... And then Kururugi responds with, not the modern day, so then where am I?
ここは戦国時代なの。
I don't really need to run this through a translator, but Kagome answers with, this is the Sengoku Jidai. Which is a little bit harder to really translate. If you want to go with the English localization of the anime and manga, it would be, this is the feudal era, which is also what's in the what is in the English version of the game. But for what Kururugi and Kagome would be more familiar with, the translation would be, this is the Warring States period.
戦国時代だって？織田信長とか鉄砲伝来とかの？
And then Kururugi is freaking out like, wait, the Warring States period? Do you mean when Oda Nobunaga was running around and guns were first introduced to Japan? Which, again, the English version of the game also did, so pretty decent job at translating that on their part.
うん。びっくりするだろうけど、そうなのよ。
And then Kagome responds with, that's right. I had a feeling you'd be surprised, but it's true.
そんな。
And then Kururugi's reaction is, there's no way. Like, that's impossible.
私も初めは信じられなかったんだけど。
And then here Kagome... Oh, no, that translation turned out weird, so let's... What does she say here? Yeah, I couldn't believe it at first either, so... Same as the English version, because... Like, she went through the same thing.
だって戦国時代なんて教科書の中の話だよ。こんなの非常識だよ。
And then Kururugi's like, still, how could this be the Warring States period? We learned about those in... Like... We learned about it in textbooks in school. This is incredibly weird.
そうよね。
And Kagome's like, yeah, you're right about that.
畑では殺されそうになるし、妖怪までいるし。
And here, Kururugi is saying, oh, no, that one turned out weird. That turned out really weird. Yeet. Let's see here. So here, Kururugi said, more or less is saying, I nearly got killed out in the forest by a yokai.
そう。
And then Kagome being like, I see.
怪我とかは大丈夫？お腹空いてたら食べるものもあるわ。
Are you hurt or anything? If you're hungry at all, we can get something to eat. That part also wasn't in the English version. Like, she did say, she did ask if Kururugi was hurt or anything, to which Kururugi responded that they were fine. But the English version did not have her say, if you're hungry, we can get something to eat.
あ、それは大丈夫。
And Kururugi's like, oh, that's alright, that's alright, I'm okay.
そう。この村は安全だから、しばらくはここにいたらいいわ。
And then Kagome is saying like, well, this village is safe, so you can stay here for a while.
ありがとう。カゴメさんに会えて本当に良かったよ。
Oh, that translation came out really weird. But this one seems a little interesting. Because Kururugi says, thank you. I'm really glad I met you, Kagome. What translator are you using to translate it all? So the main one I'm using on my phone is a translator called DeepL. The only reason I'm using it is because Aldenax, who is here in chat, or was here in chat, was the one who's been helping me with a lot of Curse Mask stuff and got me to look into more stuff with the Japanese version, and even helped me with this Michiru PNG that I'm using as my avatar temporarily just for this game. So because of him, I've been using this translator, and when I first used it, it worked really well. But it's being a little iffy right now. So every time DeepL gets a bit iffy, I'll screenshot the dialogue and throw it into Google Translate, which I know Google Translate is not all that reliable, and a lot of people are like, if you need something translated, just don't use Google Translate. Google Translate has worked fine for me on occasion, so it's the one I fall back on if DeepL isn't really working. If there was another translator app that was available for free that's better, then I would absolutely use it, but for the time being, this is what I'm stuck with. So, here Kururugi said, thank you, I'm really glad I met you, Kagome. Because so far, Kagome is the only one who's been kind to him. The first 3 villagers he ran into tried to attack him. And went from 1185 AD to 1603 AD. Yep, that sounds right. The more specific point they're in right now, I think, is called the Muromachi period. One sec. Muromachi. Man. Yeah, the Muromachi period in Japanese history, the period of the Ashikaga shogunate from 1338 to 1573. That technically would be more accurate for the feudal era setting of Japan that InuYasha takes place in, simply because of the presence of Nobunaga Oda and guns, which was pretty close to the 1540s, 1550s Japan. And we know Nobunaga's running around because in an early chapter of the manga and an early episode of the anime that adapted that part of the manga, they outright mention that, yeah, Oda Nobunaga is around. But at this time, he's still a kid because the person Kagome mistakes for Oda Nobunaga says, I know of him, but he's just a fool. So this was before Nobunaga started his campaign to conquer Japan. So, like, he's still known as the Fool of Owari. But at a later point, when we got introduced to the Band of Seven, that was when we first started seeing guns in the story. So, I've always liked Amari Nobunaga. Amari Nobunaga is a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun. Let's see. Google Translate tends to be the best free one I've seen and tried. Not perfect, but at least it makes sense most of the time. Huh. Okay. That's interesting, Maria, because I've always heard that Google Translate is the absolute last thing that you'd want to use as a translator. So that's interesting to hear. But yeah, and then the Band of Seven arc of the manga and anime was when we first started seeing guns in the series. So it gives us a very solid time frame of when InuYasha's feudal era takes place. And it's very shortly before Nobunaga began his campaign. So again, around late 1540s, early 1550s. To the point that I personally believe that it takes place around 1547, and I am being very specific with that year because of the whole thing with the Bone Eaters Vow connecting quote-unquote 500 years. But if that were true, considering that Kagome's present is in 1997, that would mean 500 years past would be 1497. But then that wouldn't make sense because Nobunaga doesn't exist yet, and guns weren't in Japan yet. So 450 years makes a bit more sense to me. They just like to round it. I've tried a few different ones over the years, and they range from can't translate this to complete gibberish. Yeah, I understand that. I've actually had some instances where Google Translate turned out complete gibberish while trying to translate stuff from this game that Deep L did so much better with. So that's kind of why I'm going between the two. If one fails for me, the other one usually gets it. Or gets the best. Let's see. So then Kururugi follows up with... Kururugi said, thank you, I'm so glad I met you, Kagome. If I hadn't, I don't know what would have happened to me. So, it wasn't InuYasha finding him and bringing him here. Meeting Kagome is what helps Kururugi kind of center himself and calm down. I haven't checked the girl's version or Kaname's version of this, so I don't know if she says anything different. It's possible she might, but for the most part, the story is the same between Michiru and Kaname. But Kururugi at all saying, I'm so glad I met you, Kagome. I don't know what would have happened to me if I hadn't. Puts a lot on the dynamic between Kururugi and Kagome. Like, Kagome is a center point for Kururugi. The Japanese version is essentially saying that Kagome is someone who anchors them. So this is just interesting to me. Let's see, Google Translate can be good, but it tends to be best to check with another translator if you use it, and it turns out odd, so I definitely think you're using it properly. Thanks, Maria. Or, sorry, thanks, Kinmoku. So, we're getting some pretty good relationship building stuff here between Kururugi and Kagome, and I am all fucking for it. Because if anyone here has seen when I streamed the English version, or watched the VOD, or just knows me, I go for these two so fucking hard. Japanese version said Michiru wins, iconic. Oh, Kinmoku, it gets so much better. it gets so much better later on. While I haven't played past Kaede's village, Aldenax did record footage from Minamo village and Asagiri Island of the Michiru and Kagome route, specifically for me to get information from. And oh my god, there is a piece of dialogue that more or less states that Kururugi is the better choice for Kagome. No question. Like, it almost definitively Kagome almost definitively says, like, InuYasha is garbage, but Kururugi has always been there. We'll get to that when we get to that. It'll probably take a while, but oh boy, I'm gonna be really glad to dive into that whole section of the game.
なんだよ。さっきまでわめいてたところが急に塩らしいじゃねえか。
Let's see, and here InuYasha is saying, what's all this? You were like, no. D-Bell says, I thought he was yelling just now, sounding you're all wistful, so I do think that turned out weird. Let's see what Google Translate has to say. Let's see. So what's all this? Like, you were yelling just a moment ago, but now you've gone all quiet. Which, again, like, yeah, because Kururugi was just going off, and then Kagome was like, you need to calm down, this is what's going on. You can't trust what a non-canon game says. It's just headcanon at this point. Headcanons are fine, though. That's... that is honestly a really weird thing to consider at this point, Maria. Entirely because Yashahime exists. And in the Yashahime manga, there is a character tied to the Tree of Ages that specifically states that other timelines do exist. Which means that other stories in the overall InuYasha universe are their own valid timelines. Which means all 11 routes of Cursed Mask are technically their own valid canon timelines. They're just separate from the anime and manga. So, whether or not the game's canon or not at this point is really a personal thing at this point. But, of course, the thing is, I greatly dislike Yashahime to the point that I ignore it and consider it to be really, really bad Sesshomaru fanfiction. There are some aspects of the series that I like, such as the thing of multiple timelines existing, meaning anything tied to InuYasha is canon, whether official or fan-made or not, because that's what happens when you open that floodgate. When you state in your series that multiple timelines exist, you're pretty much saying anything and everything can be canon. What did I even say? You can't trust what a non-canon game says. But, like I said, Yashahime exists, and even though I like to consider that not canon, if you consider Yashahime canon, the fact that the manga has a character who looks over time... what did I even say? Automod didn't show up with anything, so I have no idea what you said. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything from Automod, so I don't know what you got hit by. Let's see. So yeah, InuYasha's saying, like... you were bawling just a moment ago, but now you've gone all soft on us. Hey, hun! Welcome! Ignoring Yashahime will always be incredibly valid IMO. Oh, I love meeting people who will say that. I love meeting people who will say that. Yeah. Glad you could make it, hun. Let's see. Oh. Show original just to make sure. Okay, yeah, that's to compare it. Hell yeah. Okay. Like, again, Yashahime has some interesting ideas that I don't mind, but for the most part, I ignore it. Like, ugh.
余計なことは言わないの。
I still am walking my dog. No, so you're watching stream while you're on the walk. Oh, okay, that translation came out. What? Weird. Twitch, stop it. Hold up. The only thing I really use from Yashahime is the term for quarter demon. And if I didn't have an OC, that was one, I probably wouldn't. I didn't notice there. I didn't realize there was a proper word, a proper term in that for quarter demon. I actually never watched. Sorry, I actually never watched that section of the anime where it was brought up. Hang on. Maria, are you trying to say that something is fanfic? Shi Hanyo. That makes sense. That actually kind of makes sense, cause like she is 4, so like 1/4. Oh wait, but Hanyo is already half demon, so that, huh? Yeah, that's a little weird. Yeah. So, oh, hang on. I think I need to do something. Give me a second. Go into moderation. I think you may have flipped a, okay, no, so Maria, I see what you hit. You hit, a banned term that I have. One sec, I'll just remove those. Give me a sec. Okay. Maria, if you're still here, feel free to... Oh, hold on. Let's see. Most fans I know don't like Yashahime anyway and consider it fanfiction. I can't personally say anything since I haven't seen it. Yeah. Yeah, so... I had fanfiction as a banned word. So I do apologize. I got that. I lifted that. But here's the weird thing though, Maria. Yes, a lot of people very much dislike the Yashahime anime. But from what I've heard and seen, they actually do like the Yashahime manga. And I still think the manga is utter garbage because it looks terrible to me. I think it's way too over detailed and the characters look so wrong. So yeah, sorry about that, Maria. Okay, let's see. Kagome, what is it that... Let's see. Nope, that comes out weird. Let's try this. Google Translate, can you fix this? Okay, so, let's see. I've heard the manga is better too, though I'm still not touching it purely because of the twins' parentage aspect. Honestly, I think the manga is worse. Simply because they try to tie the Grim Comet to Amaterasu in such a weird and baffling way. Like, there's just so much from Yashahime, both the anime and the manga, that I absolutely do not like. So, like, I'm just like, that does not exist. I don't care what you tell me. I am ignoring anything that has to do with that. Alright, so... basically, Kagome is deriding InuYasha for what he said regarding Kururugi, like his yelling and like his bawling and suddenly getting all soft. The translations on both Deep L and Google Translate are coming out weird. According to Deep L, Kagome is saying, "I'm not going to tell you anything else," which doesn't make sense. And Google Translate says that she's saying, "Don't say unnecessary things," which I think she's trying to say, hey, there's no need to be rude like that.
いきなりいろんなことがあったんだもの。わめきたくもなるわよ。
Let's see. Okay, that turned out weird too. Okay, according to Google Translate, Kagome is saying so many things have happened all of a sudden, I feel like screaming. I don't think that's what she's saying, because in the English version, after she tells InuYasha not to be, tells InuYasha don't be so rude, she follows up with, "You'd be crying too if something like this happened to you." And that's InuYasha scoffing.
まあ、しょっちゅうわめいてるやつがもう一人いるけどな。
Come on, come on. This. Come on. Okay, according to Google Translate, InuYasha is saying there's one other person who yells all the time, but in the English version, he said, reminds me of someone else who cries all the time, which, yeah, he's being backhanded with Kagome. I think from what InuYasha says here and what Kagome said prior, it's more or less supposed to be what was in the English version. Kagome saying, like, you'd be like this too if similar happened to you. And InuYasha's like, reminds me of someone who cries all the time.
ちょっと、それどういう意味?
And then here's Kagome pulling out the snark. Saying, hold on, what's that supposed to mean?
わかりきったこと聞くんじゃねえよ。
And then InuYasha saying, don't ask about something that's so obvious.
自分だって怒ってばっかりいるじゃない。
Okay, that one turned out weird. Come on. Let's see. Bickering as always, those two. We're gonna get into that. Hopefully I can get to it in the next 10 minutes. Before I go for break again. So here Kagome's like, you're one to talk. You're the one always getting, you're the one who's always getting angry.
なんだと？いつ俺が怒ったってんだ。
It's how you know they care. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And then here is InuYasha going like, what's that? When have I ever been angry? Oh, InuYasha. You're asking when you have ever been angry. You are always angry, my guy. You freaking dumbass.
ほらまた怒った。犬やしゃってばほんと気が短いんだから。
And then, why, you never argue with your friends or family? No, I do! I don't love them. If I ever get like that, it's because I hate them. It is absolutely because I hate them. So, here Kagome saying, see, you're getting angry again. You always have a temper. Which, more or less what she says in the English version. Let's see. And then from this one... I believe he's trying to say... I've got a temper. You're the one who's always so touchy. Yeah, no. Okay, so he says... Who's short-tempered? You're the one who's always got such a short fuse, more or less. No, short fuse wouldn't really make sense. Not for him, I don't think. Yeah, no, he's basically saying, who's got a short temper? You're the one who's always, like, who's always quick to anger. Say that arguing a lot shows that you care, because if you don't care, why would you argue? So, here we go into some interesting stuff. Here is Kururugi saying, you two must be very close. In the English version, he says, you two sure get along.
Eh?
Kagome going, huh? Now, this entire section does not exist in the English version. This entire conversation from here does not exist in the English version. It was completely cut. Kururugi says, could it be that InuYasha is Kagome's boyfriend? This is not in the English version. And how did these two respond? They're blushing and not denying it. Kagome saying, pretty much saying, that's... And InuYasha going... saying, hey, what the hell are you talking about? Okay. That... I need to check if that's accurate, because that came out weird. So here's the thing. In Japan, this game came out March 18th, 2004. At that point in the anime, they were just getting started on Season 6. And by that point, in the anime and the corresponding content of the manga that got adapted, Kagome had come to the conclusion that she was in love with InuYasha. Like, she outright told herself that she was in love with InuYasha, confirming it to herself. But when this game released in North America on November 2nd, 2004, the anime's English dub was near the end of season 3's content, so Kagome wasn't at that point yet, as far as the North American audience was concerned. So I feel like, even though this game's story, based on events that happen in it, which I pointed out in my previous, when I last streamed the English version back in March, you can go check the VOD for that, but we'll end up getting to it eventually. Based on certain events that happen in this game, the start of this game's story has to be somewhere early or in the middle of Season 3's content. Simply because, for the one big thing, InuYasha does not have the Red Tetsaiga at all in this story. It is not an ability he learns, and we absolutely know this because there's a point where we run into barriers, and we can't break it. So there's a point where you end up dealing with barriers, and they're like, we don't have a way to deal with it. Very much proving that InuYasha doesn't have the Red Tetsaiga as far as the story is concerned. So they go off to get a different way to break barriers, and that leads to Kururugi gaining a technique to do so. Entirely because InuYasha doesn't have it, and they're not just going to rip the story of InuYasha getting the Red Tetsaiga from the manga and anime and putting it in the game, because, like, this is supposed to be a separate story. So, anything from season, after season 3 is not supposed to have happened in this game's story. So, Anyway, this dialogue from Kururugi being translated comes out a little weird on both Google Translate and DeepL. Google Translate turns it out as, I see, that's right, we're both blushing, which, coming from Kururugi, that doesn't make sense. DeepL, on the other hand, has him say, I see, both the husband and wife turned red. But I feel like that's inaccurate as well, because, like, unless Kururugi is teasing them by calling them a husband and wife, I don't think that's what's actually being said here. I think more accurately, it should be teasingly, I see, both of you, both of your faces have turned red. That's what I feel it should be, just because I do feel like both translation outcomes don't feel right for the situation, but that might just be me, because I'm not a translator. I don't know Japanese. That's why I'm using these other translator sources to try and help me with figuring this shit out. But basically, Kururugi is teasing them for blushing because he called InuYasha Kagome's boyfriend. And then Kagome, still blushing, is like, oh, come on and stop it. And then InuYasha goes back to blushing again. And is saying... So... is saying, just who is... Like, who do they think they are? What a load of crap. In the English... I agree, said, I see you're both blushing. Yeah. In the English version of the game, right after Kururugi remarks, you two sure get along, it immediately jumps to this dialogue, but Kagome and InuYasha have different facial expressions, with InuYasha saying, incorrectly, because they localized it wrong, as, hey, who does she think she is, even if you're playing as Michiru? So the proper script there, or line read there, should have been, who do you think you are? Or who do they think they are? According to the translator here, it's more or less that. Who do you think you are? What a load of crap.
照れなくてもいいじゃないか。
Simple mistake. Okay, that one came out weird. And here, Kururugi is saying, there's no need to be embarrassed, which Kururugi does say in the English version. Let's see. Does this imply that in the Japanese version of the game, Michiru just steals InuYasha's girl in her route? Not in a serious sense. Technically, that is what happens in the game, because even in the English game, there's a bit between Moroku and Sango, where in the Demon Mansion, after you rescue Moroku, Moroku asks Sango, do you love me now? Only to then grope her, because it's Moroku. And then Michiru can still be on Sango's romance route, or Kagome can be on Moroku's romance route, and essentially taking one away from the other. So no matter what, Kururugi is stealing the romantic partner of another character. InuYasha's not one to easily admit his feelings either. I don't know. InuYasha's a weird one. Let's be perfectly honest.
そんなんじゃねえよ。
And then InuYasha's arguing, it's nothing like that. Trying to wave off that he's not embarrassed. Yeah, in English, let's see, not many positive feelings at least. He sure voices negative ones. Oh, definitely. Like, when it comes to Kagome, especially when she's around, he very much lets his negative feelings show. He rarely lets his positive feelings show around Kagome.
そんなことより、お前、井戸に行かなくていいのかよ。
But then, now we're back on, now, pretty much what was cut from the English version is done. We're back on the regular one. Let's see. So we're back to, quote-unquote, what matters for the story, with InuYasha saying, more importantly, don't you need to go to the well? Lots of complicated things at play if you know the anime. Which is also weird because the anime actually did do the manga pretty dirty. Because I will admit, in the manga, like, they are quite a bit more straightforward. The anime plays up a lot of the negative stuff, like Kagome using the sit command more often, InuYasha being a colossal dick, and Moroku with his lechery and constantly getting hit by Sango is played up a lot more as comedy in the manga, in the anime. But most of that doesn't exist in the manga. That stuff stopped pretty early on in the manga, from what I remember. But with the anime definitely did Kikyo dirty. Yeah, no, the anime did Kikyo very dirty. The anime made her into such an intolerable evil bitch for the most part. So, like, there's definitely differences from the anime and manga. Alright, and we're back. Let's see, there's always differences between anime and manga. Yeah, I am aware of that. There's no such thing as a perfect adaptation from manga or light novel to anime, or really even other sources like books or video games to TV shows and movies. Stuff always either gets cut or they add a lot of unnecessary stuff. In InuYasha's case, though, the animation studio did definitely did a lot of stuff that was really unnecessary, because I have met some people who absolutely despise Kagome entirely because of the anime, and for the most part in regards to how often the anime has her use the sit command, which she rarely uses, which she doesn't use anywhere near as often in the manga. And even though I haven't really read the manga, I did read from where the original anime ended up until the end of the story once, like, years ago, but I haven't actually read the whole thing. But definitely because of this game is definitely a big part of why I do like Kagome, because we see a lot more of her better traits, like the more positive traits Kagome has in this game than what was shown in those original 6 seasons of the anime. And especially in this game, the only times Kagome uses the sit command is when it's necessary. She never uses it maliciously. It's always when InuYasha's being stupid, or in one case, because she, there's no other way she could have checked for an entry that he has, because she knows he'd try to avoid her and keep her from looking. So she's like, I have to use the sit command in order to check it. There's no other way he'd let me. Let's see. I want to read the manga something too. Like, yeah, the art is really good. And that's why I hate the art for the Yashahime manga. It looks so bad compared to the InuYasha manga's art. Like, they didn't even try to emulate Rumiko's art style. If they did at least that, I would probably read the Yashahime manga, even though I hate the story, just for the art. But it looks so bad! It's likely for the comedy aspect, just like Moroku. Yeah, no. Like, absolutely, the Kagome constantly using the sit command, Moroku's lechery, and getting hit by Songo was definitely played up in the anime for... Oh, hold up. There we go. It's crazy just how many people can hate Kagome just for how the anime did her dirty in some aspects. And either way, she's like 15 in the series. Calm down, guys. Yeah, like, she's 15 in her 3rd year of junior high, about to enter high school. She has much more important personal shit going on. But she's taking responsibility for having broken the Shikon jewel to go help find the shards, because she's the one who broke it by accident. She's like, this was my fault. I'll help, like, get everything and put it back together. She acted like a 15-year-old. Yeah, she acts her age. So I don't get why people are getting upset with her on that. I've seen some absolutely terrible things said about her. She has a lot on her shoulders. I can't fully... Yeah. Like... Because Kagome is 15 years old in her 3rd year of junior high, getting ready to go into high school, which is really important in Japan, even though high school is optional. But, like, getting into high school, as far as Japan is concerned... Oh, sorry, one moment. Sorry about that. Roommate got home, so I had to let the dog out, but then my headset got tangled up in my chair. Let's see. We're expecting to be perfect, and when we aren't, yeah, it sucks. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, let's see. I never see that much hate for InuYasha in comparison. Yeah, no, like, because Kagome is 15 years old. She's in her 3rd year of junior high, trying to get into high school, which, even though in Japan high school is completely optional, there's like this whole societal thing with trying to get into a good high school for better education and then a better paying job. So Kagome has that going on. She has her studies that she has to do to make sure she keeps up. But then on top of that, she's pulled into the feudal era. She's getting involved with demons and a bunch of weird shit, and now the Shikon Jewel, and then she goes and breaks the damn thing, and she's taking responsibility to go find the shards. She has so much shit going on that of course she's gonna have moments where she just has a breakdown because she can't keep track of it all. And InuYasha is absolutely like the most piece of shit character because, oh, what episode was it again? Episode 15, I believe. He tries to prevent Kagome from going back to the present through the Bone Eater's Well by trying to plug it with a giant fucking boulder that he knows she can't lift. So Kagome going off on sit commands one after the other is completely justified. He was going to prevent her from going back home and taking care of her personal responsibilities. Like, that is such a dick move. Why people give InuYasha this massive pass when he is such a shit? And then getting on Kagome's case just, like, for what she does because she has trouble handling it? Like, holy fuck. As much as I like InuYasha to the point I have an OC paired with him, he's literally not an ounce better than her. He's worse, not gonna lie. It's just because he's a man. Anyway, back to the game. InuYasha is saying, like, hey, shouldn't you be going to check... let's see, what was it? More importantly, don't you think you should go to the well? Jeez, that took 20 minutes. Sorry. This is what happens to something I am at least moderately passionate about. People hate teenage girls for anything they can. Back to the game, though. I think a lot of what he does is actually because he likes her and wants her to stay. Also, the resemblance to Kikyo. That early in the story, I don't think it's because he likes her. I'm pretty sure it's because he's like, no, I want to find the shards of the Shikon Jewel. You're not going anywhere until we get that done. I'm pretty sure that's InuYasha's entire mindset regarding Kagome that early in the story. Because it does take him a while before he starts feeling like he likes her. Like, I will definitely say that early in the story, no, he's not trying to plug the Bone Eater's Well to keep Kagome there because he wants her to stay and likes her. It's because he's not going to let her go back home until they find the Shikon Jewel shards, because that's what he wants. He has a hard time accepting that others have things to do. Impatient first two. And then there is a point where InuYasha's like, Kagome has friends and family and her own stuff going on in the present. I can't keep her here. He does eventually come to that realization. It just sucks that the story doesn't keep going with that, because Kagome doesn't stay in the present, even though she should have, 100%.
どうして?
Anyway, so to InuYasha saying, like, shouldn't you be going to the well? Kururugi's like, huh? What do you mean? if I can get the translator up. Let's see. Yeah, Kururugi's asking why.
おめえ帰りてんだろ
With InuYasha asking, don't you want to go home? So now we're pretty much back on track with what they say in the English version. This is pretty similar. In the English version, InuYasha asks, shouldn't you be going to the well? With Kururugi asking, huh? Why? And InuYasha saying, don't you want to go back?
それはそうね。
And then Kagome more or less saying, ah, that's right. Or yes, that's right. Is that what the translator says? Yeah. Oh, that's right.
どういうこと
And Kururugi asking, what do you mean? Oh, hey, that's exactly what the translator came up with.
村の外れに骨食いの井戸といって現代とここを結ぶ井戸があるのよ。
Okay. And here, Kagome is saying, in the outskirts of the village is a well called the Bonier's Well. It connects our present day to the feudal era. Hey, Solana. Welcome to the stream. We're almost 2.5 hours in, and your PNG is Kururugi. Hey, yeah, you can thank Eldenex for that. They ripped Kururugi's portrait from the game and put this together for me to use as my avatar for when I stream this game. So basically, same thing from the English version. Kagome's like, beyond the village, there's a well called the Bonier's Well. It connects our time with the feudal era.
私はそこに落ちてこっちへ来たの。
And then remarking, I ended up coming here when I fell through. Or, in the English version, she says that's how I got here. But the translator says, I ended up falling through, and that's how I got here.
それじゃ
And then that turns on a light bulb in Kururugi's head, like, whoa, why did that not pick up? Come on. Yes, so then Kururugi's saying, so you mean?
ええ、そこを通れば帰れるかもしれないわ。
With Kagome saying, yeah, if you go through it, you might be able to get home.
本当その井戸ってここから近いの
And Kururugi getting excited. Really? Is the well close by?
近いといえば近いわね。この村の東の外れにあるわ。
And Kagome saying, it's just on the eastern outskirts of this village.
お願いそこへ連れて行ってよ
And Kururugi saying, please, take me there.
わかったわ。じゃあ行ってみましょう。
And Kagome saying, sure thing, let's head on over. So now we finally get to move again after, after like 2 hours. And now we get to the Bone Eater's Well.
ここが骨食いの井戸よ。
No, come on. Gotta translate and explain. Yep. Back on the road. Let's see how long it lasts because I gotta translate. And that's gonna take a bit. Let's see. Yeah, and then the Kagome saying, this is the, here we are, the Bone Eater's Well, or this is the Bone Eater's Well. Basically the same thing as the English, so, again, for a good bit, the English translation hasn't been too bad. The voice acting in the English version, though, definitely does come off as a bit stiff. And absolutely, the English voice actors that returned from the first 3 seasons of the anime definitely carry the English version of the game, like 100%. But the Japanese version, like, so far, like, Kururugi's voice, which is, again, Terry fucking Bogard from the Fatal Fury series, has been pretty solid. And the 3 villagers we ran into were pretty good. Kururugi's friend on the bus and their father were also pretty good. So, yeah, so far as the voices go, they're solid.
ずいぶん古そうな井戸だね。なんだかお化けでも出そう。
And let's see. Here, Kururugi is saying, it looks like a very old well. Almost like it's haunted.
そうね。
And then Kagome pretty much saying, yeah, it does.
もともと死んだ妖怪を捨てるための井戸だったしな。
And here InuYasha is saying, well, they did used to throw the bodies of dead demons inside.
ちょっと、そんなこと言ったら怖がっちゃうじゃない。
And then Kagome berating InuYasha again. Hey, don't say things like that. You're gonna scare them.
なんでだよ。捨てるっつったって死んでる妖怪だぜ。
Okay, that turned out weird, so let's go Google Translate. Oh, right. There we go. And InuYasha basically saying, why though? They were already dead.
そういうことじゃないでしょ。犬やしちゃったら本当デリカシーがないんだから。
And then and then Kagome more or less saying, that's not what I meant. InuYasha, you can be really you have no sense of delicacy. Like, you don't know how to be delicate, you're insensitive. So the English version of the game had Kagome say, what was it again? You know what I mean. You can be so insensitive.
ごめんね。
And then Kagome just saying, sorry, Michiru.
うん。それでここから入ればいいのかな。
And then nervously going, Michiru or Kururugi saying, yeah. So, do I just go in there?
ええ、そのまま井戸に飛び込めば現代に帰れるはずよ。
And Kagome saying, yeah, you just jump straight in and you'll be back in the present.
飛び込むんだね。
And then Kururugi getting a little scared because of what InuYasha said about the well. Asking, I have to... You mean I have to jump in?
怖いな。でも家へ戻るためだし。
And here, in her thoughts, is Kururugi saying, I'm really scared, but it's the only way to get home.
何ビビってんだよ。
And then InuYasha, again, just kind of taunting Kururugi. What are you getting so scared of?
それは心の準備が。
In the English version, Kururugi said, I just need to get some courage. According to the translator, he's saying, I'm just preparing myself.
それじゃあ行くよ。1、2の。
And here he's saying, I'm going in then, and he's counting to 3 before he goes in. 1, 2. But here Kururugi hesitates, whereas in the English version, he's trying to say 3, but he goes and is unable to finish saying it because he's getting too scared. Here, he's getting scared or he's getting nervous.
No, 3だろ。
And then InuYasha 3, right? And then push. Not a bad scream, honestly. After all, the fall's not that far. And I do think the English version for the scream being pushed down the well wasn't too bad either.
犬夜叉、なんてこと。大丈夫？
Well, come on now. Come on. And then Kagome, like, shocked and yelling at InuYasha. InuYasha, what do you think you're doing? And then looking down into the well at Kururugi, are you okay?
大丈夫じゃないかも。
I don't think that turned out well. Let me try it again. Okay, so more or less the same as the English version, like, sound of pain, with the English version going, ouch, and then saying, more or less saying, I don't think so. The translator says it's maybe I'm not alright, but a previous shot I tried said I think I am, but, I don't know. It can get a bit rough. Then Kagome saying, thank goodness, you seem to be fine. Can I catch a break? Yeah, unfortunately, Kururugi kinda gets shafted a lot. And now, of course, Kagome pissed off at InuYasha. Okay, that translation didn't come out right, I am pretty damn sure. Let's see. Google Translate says... Google Translate... According to Google Translate, Kagome asks InuYasha, what have you done? But I do think the English version did do better with InuYasha, what were you thinking?
いや、弾みでつい。
Here InuYasha saying, I just got caught up in the moment. the English version, he says, I was trying to help.
もう怪我でもしたら大変じゃないの。
What were you thinking? Close much better. So in the English version, InuYasha says, I was just trying to help, with Kagome still being rather angry, saying, what? How's that? While keeping this facial expression? So it definitely felt odd. Here, though, InuYasha says, I got caught up in the moment, with Kagome saying, if he got hurt or something, it would have been a big problem. Always happy when localizations tweak things to sound more natural. Sometimes it does. There were some instances where the translations I got from the Japanese version did come off a bit better. She's still smiling when saying that. Well, I can't go back to it, so I can't run it through Google Translate. Let's see, here, InuYasha... that very much is wrong! So that's definitely going through Google Translate. Okay, here InuYasha is saying, shut up. They were taking their time, so I was helping them out. I'm so curious what the wrong ones are. Okay, as a treat... Your reactions to the wrong ones are so funny. Okay, as a treat, here's the wrong one that I just took. That, from InuYasha. I'm not gonna be part of this. Because I'm on a dick, I helped you out, didn't I? As soon as I saw that, I was like, there is no fucking shot. There is no shot that's accurate. There is no shot that's accurate. So I'm gonna go on something else. Translators are weird, man.
ちょっとその言い方は何よ。
That is definitely the most wild one I've had so far, by the way. Let's see. Kagome. No, that one doesn't look right. Yeah, okay. Here, Kagome saying, hey, what's that supposed to mean? Oh, hold on. The only possible explanation is that it's supposed to come off like hop off my dick. Except that the way it translated was, because I'm on a dick, I tried to help. I don't know. But now, of course, Kururugi is trying to draw their attention to get them to stop arguing. Maybe it was because I'm not a dick. Maybe if it was supposed to be because I'm not a dick, coming from InuYasha would be so out of character. So Kururugi is oh, ran into a problem. One sec. Let's see. Because I'm not a dick. Lie of the year, if that's what if that was said. Yeah, if InuYasha ever said, I am not an asshole, he would win Liar of the Year. So Kururugi basically saying, could you two stop fighting and help me? Which, again, more or less the same thing that that Kururugi says in the English version. So then they proceed to help Kururugi out of the well.
何が原因なのかわからないけど、ここを通れないみたいね。
Equivalent to Moroku saying he's not a perv. Yep. Let's see. So Kagome saying, I don't know what could be causing it, but it seems you can't get through.
そうみたいだね。
With Kururugi saying, seems so.
元気を出して。きっと他にも方法はあると思うから。
And oh, hang on. I'm just gonna double check that, because the one I got for this translation does look right, but it seems to have a little extra to it that I'm not sure about. Okay. Okay, yeah, so for whatever reason, D-Bell added another bit to it, but Kagome's basically saying, cheer up, I'm sure there's another way. Which, again, pretty much the same thing that was from the English version.
でもこれからどうしたら
And Kururugi, who's like... he's like... You can hear the dejection in his voice, because it's like... From what he was told, the Bone Eater's Well was the only way he could get home, and it didn't work. Kagome's like, cheer up, I'm sure there's another way, but Kururugi's like... But, like, what? What other way could there be? So, he's saying, okay, but what do we do now?
そうね。私の時は楓おばあちゃんに助けてもらったけど。
Oh, right. I also said that I'd point this out. 1 second. Cursor. So, I mentioned before about these symbols essentially being quotations for dialogue in Japanese versions of quotation marks to note when a character is speaking, and that there was a variant for when a character is referring to something. That's what these ones are. They showed up before when they were talking about the Bone Eater's Well, and when InuYasha first mentioned Gendai for the present. But they're also used when referring to a person at times, like, if I think, but they're talking about Grandma Kaede here. Let's see, let's back, and let's run that through translator. In my case, sorry, something in my throat. I got help from Grandma Kaede. Oh, hold up. See. Yeah, like, I had help from Grandma Kaede.
楓って誰なの
And then Kururugi asking, who's Kaede?
この村で一番偉い人で、巫女さんなんだけど、とても物知りなのよ。
And Kagome saying, oh, no, that turned out weird. Let's see. Translate. Kagome is saying she's the most important person in the village. She's a shrine maiden and she knows a lot. More or less what she said in the English version. In the English version, she instead says she's the wisest person in the village. And she's a priestess and she knows a lot. So, slight word changes.
口うるせえババアだけどな。
Here, in the English version, InuYasha remarks that she's always nagging him. But according to this translation, he calls her a loud old hag.
それは犬やしゃが悪さばかりするからじゃない。
I believe this one is... Yeah, and Kagome's remarking that it's because InuYasha is always doing bad things. So, again, similar to the English version, InuYasha says she's always nagging him, with Kagome following up with, that's only because you're always getting into trouble.
よくわからないけど、悪い人じゃないみたいだね。会ってみたいな。
And then Kururugi saying, I don't quite get it, but she doesn't seem like a bad person. I'd like to meet her. Again, pretty much the same thing that the English version did.
そう。じゃあ行きましょうか。カエドおばあちゃんはこの村の広場の西の家にいるはずよ。
That one turned out weird, so let's do this. Okay. And then Kagome says, okay, then let's go. Grandma Kaede should be in the house to the west of the village square.
ここがカエデおばあちゃんの家よ。
And then Kagome is saying this is Grandma Kaede's house. And then out pops the second Kagome, which surprises Kagome.
カゴメさんが2人？
So, Kururugi audibly said Futari, which, from what I remember, means twins. So, this should be Kururugi being surprised and being Kagome has a twin? Which I do think is what the English version went for, because otherwise the translator is having Kururugi say two Kagomes.
カゴメ、帰ってきたのか？
And then, no, hold on. Okay, this one is Kagome, you've come back.
カゴメさんって双子だったんだ。
No, that one came out weird. So, Google Translate says, okay, so the previous one from Kururugi was supposed to be two Kagomes. This one I think is supposed to be I didn't know Kagome had a twin.
双子？お前、何を言っとるんじゃ？
Or, no, not, I didn't... I think more accurately, what Kururugi said there was, I didn't expect Kagome to have a twin. And then, twins, what are you talking about? The English version went with twins, what are you saying? Which I actually do think the what are you talking about makes a bit more sense.
違うの？だってそっくり。
Come on. Let's see, and so Kururugi is saying you're not, but you look exactly alike.
おい、しっぽ。いい加減にしろよ。
Okay, that one translated weird. Come on. Okay, InuYasha saying, hey, Shippo, quit messing around.
そうよ。いきなりその格好で出てくるから、一瞬何かと思っちゃったわ。
Okay, this one's interesting. I'm gonna run this one through Translate, just to double check. Yeah, okay. So this is Kagome saying, that's right. Because you came out of nowhere looking like that, I wondered what was going on. Whereas in the English version, she says, what's one supposed to think with you looking like that?
なんだ？カゴメさんが子供に？
And hi, Shippo! And then, of course, Kururugi being confused, saying, according to the English version, and from the debel translate that I just got, was Kagome just turned into a child. I'm double checking. Google Translate says, yeah, pretty much the same thing. Kagome just turned into a child?
驚かしてすまんかった。久しぶりに変化の術の練習をしとったんじゃ。
Let's see. Okay. And then Shiba's saying, sorry for startling you. I've just been practicing my transformation skills for the first time in a while. So, implying that it's been some time since Shiba last used his transformation abilities.
変化？なんでそんなことができるの？なんだか化かされてるみたいだよ。
And then Kururugi. Transformation. How is that possible? I feel like I've been tricked. So this definitely comes out a bit better than the English version, which is what Shippo said. I didn't mean to scare you. I was just practicing the art of transformation, where Kururugi would respond with, transformation? What do you mean by that? Are you pulling my leg? Like, this, like, saying transformation, how is that possible? I feel like I'm being tricked. Kind of feels better to me, at least. Anyone else?
そりゃあ変化の術は人を化かす時に使うものじゃからな。
Transformation yeah. And then Shippo is basically saying, well, transformation techniques are used to trick people, so I think they both sound fine. I do think it's more of how they say it in the English version that comes off a bit weird. Like, yeah, he's correct. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely do feel like it's how the English voices say the lines that come off as weird, because they definitely had some weird voice direction when it came to dubbing this game. And I make that very well known, because holy crap. Holy crap, the English version of this game has so many weird line reads. Right here, it does sound like it's a bit more natural, like, because Kururugi, off with my friend. Oh, off call with my friend, you can hear me better. Okay. So, yeah, like, Kururugi was like, I feel like I'm being tricked, and Shippo's like, well, yeah, that's the point.
そうなんだ。それで君名前は?
Yeah, director. And then Kururugi is going like, I understand. And what's your name? My name is Michiru.
Kagome さんと一緒で現代から来たんだ。
That came out weird. Come on. Yeah, okay, and then it says, I came from the present like Kagome.
オラはシッポーと言うんじゃ。お前、カゴメの友達か?
Okay, that came out real weird. My friend and I always spend Friday afternoon watching stuff together. No problem. And then Shippo saying, my name is Shippo. Are you Kagome's friend? Basically the same thing he says from the English version. So thank you, Maria, for taking the time to drop by the stream. Sorry if doing so distracted you from your friend.
そういうわけじゃないんだけど。
Jeez, what is with this translator app? So Shippo was asking if Kururugi was Kagome's friend. Kururugi replied to us, that's not exactly right. Or, not exactly.
カゴメが井戸から連れてきたのかと思ったぞ。
And then Shippo going, oh, I thought Kagome brought you from the well.
それならよかったんだけど。
And Kururugi responding with, would have been nice if that were true, because then he could have gone right back through and gotten home. Alright, and we're back. Let's see. Yeah, kind of odd he can't use the well since he's from her time as well. So, they will mention a bit later that the likely reason is because he didn't arrive in the feudal era through the well. But I actually have my own theory based on what happens at the end of the game. And I'm pretty sure I can talk about it because if I remember right, Maria, you were there when I finished the game the last time I streamed it in March, and you saw the whole cutscene there with Kagome's picture on the cell phone. So my theory is that the reason why Kururugi can't use the Bone Eater's Well to get back home is because he's already in the present at that time. Because when Kururugi is sent back home at the end of the game, he's sent back to the pretty much the exact same moment that he was pulled to the feudal era. There's been pretty much no time difference. So my guess is that the way he was pulled to the feudal era pulled him further back than the time period that the Bone Eater's Well connects. So for the duration that Kururugi is in the feudal era for this game's story, he is also still in the present, walking around. And so the Bone Eater's Well is like, no, if I sent this version of him back to the present, it would cause a paradox. Because then there would be two Kururugis existing in the same point in time. Because otherwise, how else would that explain Kururugi suddenly getting that picture of Kagome on his cell phone when so little time in the present passed from when he left and came back, despite how much time they spent in the feudal era? And yes, even Kagome gets the picture of Kagome. The only difference is that in Kagome's version, Kagome is also in the picture, so it's like they took a picture together. And I went into the whole thing at that point in that prior stream as well. Like, how would Kururugi have gotten that picture of Kagome? Because while we know Kururugi has a cell phone, they mention it at the beginning of the game, and when they're going off, when talking to Kagome when they first meet, given how much time is they're in the feudal era for, by the time Kururugi would have been close enough to Kagome to ask to take a picture as like a memento or whatever, their phone's battery would have been dead. But if Kagome had a cell phone, considering she can still go back and forth through the well and thus charge her phone, the more likely scenario is that Kagome took the picture and then sent it to Kururugi. That's the only way I can figure Kururugi could have it. Because during the end of Kagome's route, Kururugi's phone goes off saying new message. And Kururugi's wondering like who it could be from. They open it and it's a picture of Kagome. Or if you're playing as Kagome, it's a picture of Kagome and Kagome. So the only likely thing is Kagome used her cell phone to take the picture, and after Kururugi was sent back home, Kagome went back to the present as well and sent whatever message had that picture she took to stay in contact with Kururugi. And like there's a whole freaking thing that absolutely makes me feel like with Kagome's route, it is far more likely that Kururugi could still meet and talk with Kagome again, and also possibly somehow find a way to go back on the adventure. It is also likely on the other routes, just because of how close Kururugi Shrine and Higurashi Shrine are once we get to that point in the game and find out the distance between Kaede's village and the endgame village. But unless one of them makes that attempt to connect to the other, it is a bit harder to really set something out, though it is still possible. But Kagome's route ending makes it much more likely that they could meet back up, reconnect, talk about stuff, and maybe find another way for Kururugi to travel back to the feudal era and help them get the rest of the jewel shards, because in this game's story, they don't complete the jewel shard. Instead, one of the shards is missing. Like, it is gone to the afterlife by the end of the game, which means that the Shikon Jewel can't be completed. So a whole bunch of stuff has to happen. And that's what leads me, and like, the way my mind goes is, if that's true, then possibly, I forget his name, but the skeleton guy that gives InuYasha the Diamond Tetsaiga, he ends up having a jewel shard, because that's where the last one is. So I could figure, like, Utsugi's on their way to the afterlife with the jewel shard to prevent Naraka from coming back through it, but in the process, maybe the jewel shard jettisoned itself and then got stuck onto that demon that's in the border, and then, like, all that shit happens. Like, I could go on such a freaking tangent talking about this and not play the game anymore. Like, my head is so full of theories and shit for this game. I could pull several streams doing that. Possible. Yeah, so more than likely, based on the fact that such little time has passed in the present when Kururugi goes back home, and yet that it's very likely Kururugi was pulled further back than where the well connects, so the Bone Eater's well is like, no, there's already a version of you on the other side of this. I've seen further in the anime, at least. I've seen the entire original 6 seasons, minus the Band of 7 arc. I missed a lot of the Band of 7 arc, mostly because of this game. I'm not gonna lie. But I did miss a lot of the Band of 7 arc, but I did watch pretty much all of the original 6 seasons. I have not watched the final act because I refuse to watch it. I just do. And then, as I mentioned, I read the manga from where the original 6 seasons of the original anime ended its 6th season all the way to the end. But, yeah, so, again, long story short, my theory is Kururugi was pulled further back than the Bone Eater's Well connects. So the reason he can't go back through the Bone Eater's Well is because the Bone Eater's Well can detect that there's already a version of Kururugi in the present that it connects to. So it's like, no, I can't risk a paradox if both of you cross paths.
何か事情がありそうじゃな。
Let's see. Shippo. Okay, that translation turned out okay-ish, but let's see if we can get better. So in the English version, Shippo's response to Kururugi saying that it would have been nice if he came through the Bone Eater's Well was sounds like you've got it rough. Here I'm getting two translations. Shippo saying either there must be something going on or there seems to be some kind of reason behind this. I feel like neither is really all that correct. So I feel like depends on what Kururugi says. Okay, so that he's like agreeing. Oh, no, never mind then. So yeah, no, probably Shippo would be saying what would be a better way to word this? Sounds like because I actually can't think of, even though no, not that one. Maria, 1 second. I DM'd you the one that Shippo said to Kururugi. I'm just having a yeah, so if you could check the one I DM'd you. Because the Google Translate is telling me that the translation is, there seems to be some kind of reason behind this. But I feel like that's not exactly right. Given the situation. Because Shippo said, I thought Kagome brought you from the Bone Eater's well. Or I thought you came from the well with Kagome. And Kururugi said, would have been nice if that were true. So Shippo I think would be better saying what would he be saying? Sorry I'm not progressing. I'm actually just a little stumped on this one. Not the one that's on screen. The one before. I just want to try and figure out what the better phrasing would have been. Damn it. Give me a sec. Oh, well, that insane. Mine says the same. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I feel like Shippo's response would have been like in the English version. In the English version, Shippo responded with, "Sounds like you've got it rough." But here, for the translation, I feel like maybe it should be sounds like something like no, God. What would he be saying? Or no, in the English version he said, sounds like you've got a problem. So, like, using either of these translations as a basis... I think it should be closer to... Yeah, no, I actually think I'm going to go with the Deep L translation on this one instead of Google Translate with there must be something going on. Like, yeah, no, I think there must be something going on then. Just because, like, of course Shippo's not gonna... No, but I don't think Shippo would really be the type to be insulting. I mean, we know Shippo can insult. He is a sass machine. But like in this case, I think like it sounds like something's going on then, or something along those lines. Anyway, just so I'm not stuck on that for the next, oh God, 40 minutes. Shippo. Yeah, so, less of a filter. Yeah, like, he doesn't know better. He doesn't know better. So, then Michiru's saying, but Shippo, even though you're a child, you seem really calm. In the English version, he responds with, I'm not a little kid anymore, I'm a respectable adult. But the translation here is, I'm not a child anymore, I'm a grown-up. Which, yeah, pretty much the same thing, but the English one saying, I'm a respectable adult, just feels weird. Like, not too different, but the way but just saying, I'm a respectable adult, just feels way too funny to me. Coming out of Shippo. Oh! Hold on now! Hold on now! Oh, we got something interesting. Oh, we got something interesting with this one. Let's see what Google Translate says. Okay. Okay. So here's an interesting one. Here's an interesting one. In the English version, InuYasha calls Shippo a smart aleck. According to Google Translate, he says, how cheeky of you. According to Deep L, InuYasha says, you're a real cocky son of a bitch. I don't know. I kind of like the result Deep L gave. That definitely feels in line with InuYasha. That absolutely feels like an InuYasha thing. Like, we know InuYasha's got a foul mouth. And... one sec. Like, we know InuYasha's got a foul mouth. And we know he and Shippo fight a lot. So, put those together. It's a mobile app. it does have a website, but it does also have a mobile app, but you can as far as I've seen, because I did go on the website, it can only read and translate images through the mobile app. I have not seen on their site for an option to translate off of images, so I don't think their browser can do that. Or, sorry, I don't think the browser version of their service does it. But yeah, so knowing that InuYasha has a very foul mouth, and the fights he gets into with Shippo, I can absolutely believe that InuYasha would call Shippo a cocky son of a bitch. Never in English, though, because the English, of course, would censor things, because the worst we hear is bastard, damn, hell, and I think ass. But we never hear anything worse than that in the English dub. But I could absolutely believe InuYasha saying, "You're a real cocky son of a bitch." And then Shippo's response is, "What the hell, InuYasha?" At least according to D-Bell. Let's see what Google Translate says. Google Translate will probably tone it down. Okay. In the English version, to InuYasha calling him a smart aleck, Shippo says, "What did you say, InuYasha?" And Google Translate translates this as, "What is it, InuYasha?" But in response to InuYasha calling him a cocky son of a bitch, I do think Shippo would retort with, "What the hell, InuYasha?" And then Kagome getting annoyed, saying, "Stop it already, both of you." I could see it at times. He'd be quite foul at times. Oh, absolutely. Whoop. That needs to go into Google Translate. Okay. So Kagome telling them to stop. Followed by, we were going to visit, or we were going to see Grandma Kaede. We were going to see Grandma Kaede, right? Okay, in the English version, for this, InuYasha is saying, "Cut it out, Shippo." But, considering InuYasha said teme, which is usually very vulgar, is most likely, "Shippo, you bastard." And then, of course, he hit Shippo, because it's assumed that Shippo was trying to start a fight. Oh, sorry, just got a message. English InuYasha would say, "Cut it out." Cut it out or knock it off. It would be one of the two. In the English version, Shippo yelped in pain and questioned, "What did you do that for?" Yeah, that's pretty much it. What was that for? And I don't need to translate that. She said the sit command.
Nani? Kagome-san, すごい.
And then Kururugi being taken off guard, like, what was that? Kagome, that was amazing! And then this is Kagome saying, this is also Grandma Kennedy's power. In the in the English version, she says, this is the power of Princess Kaede. But here the translation would better be, this is also Grandma Kaede's power. Because, after all, it was Kaede who originally had the beads of subjugation, and Kaede was the one who placed them on InuYasha. It was just that Kaede gave Kagome the power to utilize it. So then that would lead to a question. Who could actually remove the beads? Kagome, or Kagome, the one who has the power to use them, or Kaede, the one who had the power to put them on in the first place? If you say Kaede, then why do people get angry that Kagome had never removed them? She doesn't have the ability to. That would be up to Kaede. Okay, and with this, Kagome saying, right then, let's go and talk to Grandma Kaede.
そうだね。
And oh, come on now. This Kururugi, yeah, it's just Kururugi agreeing and saying, yeah, sure.
どうした犬やしゃ。カゴメに尻尾も揃って。ん？お主は。
Kaede put them on InuYasha, but we've seen them get broken before, so it makes you wonder. The only time we've seen them get broken off was in the third movie, and of course, the movies get a bit iffy. Especially since at the end of the third movie, Kagome puts them back together and puts them back on InuYasha, so then that makes it even more confusing, considering we know InuYasha can't pull them off on his own. So I definitely do think Kaede would be the only one who could remove them, considering she's the one who put them on him in the first place. Well, the thing, Maria, is that they had to make it consistent with the anime and manga, because the third movie took place between season 5 and 6. So the story was still going. They were like, oh, like, we need to keep shit consistent. So he needs them back on somehow. So ultimately, though, there was no reason for them to have come flying off in the movie, because it ultimately served no purpose. Let's see. So then we go to see Kaede, and see, this translates as... What's wrong, InuYasha? Kagome and Shibbo are here too? Oh, who are you? So basically the exact same thing she says in the English version.
こんにちは。
Don't really need to translate that. It's... I think she'd have put them back anyway. It's to show that it's possible to break them or something, who knows. I mean, if it... Considering the way they broke was because of a really powerful sit command, although Sounga was causing some really strong resistance, like, it does get a little weird trying to handle that, I think. But I don't know. So don't really need a translation here. Kururugi is saying, "Oh, hello, my name is Michiru."
ほう。その格好から察するに、カゴメと同じ国から来たようだな。
I have to see the movie again. Saw the fourth earlier this year. Eh. Let's see. Got spoiled. Haven't seen the third or fourth one. Whoop! Well, here's the thing, Aldenix. We didn't spoil the plot. We didn't spoil the plot of those movies. So you're safe. We just explained what happened with the beads of subjugation in the third movie. We haven't said anything else. So I'm pretty sure you're safe. So, this translation is, judging from your outfit, it looks like you're from the same country as Kagome. So I don't know why it translated as country. Because in the English version, I do think Kaede said you came from the same place. But otherwise, like, yeah, it's not that big of a problem. It's just, judging from your outfit, looks like you came from the same place as Kagome. So again, the English version isn't too different.
はい。
And then Kururugi saying, "That's right."
まあ、そう固くなりなさるな。誰も取って食いやせんぞ。
Let's see. This one should be... Let's see. Yeah, okay, so the translations I'm getting from these are a little weird. The one I have on my phone says, "Don't be so hard on yourself," but that's definitely not what's being said. Google Translate says, "Well, don't be so stubborn," but that's not the case. So I actually do think I'd stick with the with what they used for the English version for this one, which is oh, what the hell was it again? Ah, frick, I forget what the hell what the hell it was she said in the English version. God damn it. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I can check that, no problem. Give me a sec. Yes, I'm being an idiot. What of it? I know I'm one. Where is it? Okay. Let's see. see. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, there we go. So I have no idea why... don't be so stubborn. No one's gonna pick them and eat them. Yeah, that doesn't sound right because Kururugi's not exactly being stubborn. And then the following sentence of no one's going to pick them and eat them just doesn't sound right. So I actually do think I'll stick with what the English version had, which is you can relax, no one's going to eat you. Which I think from, like, of course I do feel like that's them trying to reword things. So trying to go fresh off a translation, I think it would be there's no need to keep your guard up. No one's going to come after you and eat you. I think that would come off a bit better as a direct translation from this. Because the way Kururugi responded to Kaede saying, like, judging from your clothes, you came from the same place as Kagome, Kururugi did sound very reserved, like he was being protective of himself. So it would make sense for Kaede to say, like, you don't need to be so defensive here. Nobody's going to come after you and eat you.
僕土蔵で探し物をしていたら急に気を失って。
And now we get Kururugi trying to explain things to Kaede. I was looking for something in the storehouse. But then the phone one says I fainted, but yeah, I was searching for something in the storehouse when I suddenly lost consciousness.
それで気づいたらこの世界に来ていて。
And when I woke up, I found myself in this world. I think would be this one. Yeah, and then I realized I was in this world.
家に帰りたいんです。帰れる方法を教えてください。
And then here he's saying, I really want to go home. Please, tell me how I can get home.
うちにとな。カゴメの友達かと思ったが。
That one turned out weird. So this one would be... I thought you were a friend of Kagome's.
何やら深い事情がありそうだの。よかろ、初めから話してみなさい。
Okay. So Kaede said, I thought you were a friend of Kagome's. According to the app I'm using on my phone, this is, I think there's something deeper going on. Very well. Start at the beginning and talk. But according to Google Translate, yeah, pretty much the same thing. There seems to be something deeper going on. Let's see. The English version wasn't too far off. English version had her say, it seems like a difficult situation. Tell me your story from the beginning. I actually do like the sound of, I think there's something deeper going on. Very well. Let's start from the beginning. That's just a me thing in this case. And then fade to black. Kururugi explains what happened.
なるほど、そういうことか。カゴメの時に似ておるの。
And here Kaede saying, I see. That's what it is. It does seem similar to what happened with Kagome.
井戸は使えなかったけどな。
InuYasha here, in the English version, just straight up says the well didn't work. But according to this translation, the well couldn't be used though.
井戸骨食いの井戸のことか
And then, easy enough, Kaede saying well. Do you mean the Bone Eater's well?
ええ、地面にぶつかるだけで。
Okay. Now we actually get a fix from what was in the English version. In the English version, they incorrectly had Kagome say, I fell straight to the bottom, implying that Kagome herself was the one who fell. But the translation here was, yeah, they just hit the ground. So here Kagome is actually saying they, talk about Kururugi, just hit the ground, just hit the bottom of the well.
そうか
Kaede saying, I see.
それで何が原因かわかりますか？早く家に帰りたいんですけど。
This one, Kururugi saying, so, do you know what the cause is? I really want to go home soon.
残念だがわしにも原因はさっぱりじゃ
And then Kaede saying, unfortunately, I have no idea what the cause is.
そんな、お願いです。なんとかしてくださいよ。
And here, Kururugi is saying... Okay, yeah, he's lamenting, going, oh no. And then requesting, please do something.
そう言われてもの
Wasn't sure what prefecture or city. Kagome doesn't really say where, like, anything more specific than Tokyo as far as the anime is concerned, at least in the English dub. I don't know if she says anything different in Japanese, but I do know that in the first episode, when she mentions Tokyo to Kaede, Kaede slowly responds with, what is Tokyo? So, like, the best we get is Tokyo. Let's see. So, to Kururugi saying, please, you have to do something. This translation says, well, even if you say so, I do think the English version was a bit better here with... Oh, what did she say in the English? Yeah, so the English version kind of says, I don't know how I can help. With the this translation says, well, even if you say so. I mean, I guess technically that's more or less the same. I do think, like, from the Japanese standpoint, even if you say so would technically be more accurate, just for kind of how the Japanese deal with stuff.
このままじゃ僕どうしていいのか。
And then here. Ah, that came out weird. According to Google Translate, Kururugi is saying, if this keeps up, what should I do? Which... I do like the English version a bit better of, I just don't know what to do for the translation of this line.
なんだかかわいそうじゃ。
And here, Shippo saying, I feel kind of sorry for you. That's an interesting one from Kagome. Yeah, because in the English version, Shippo said, gosh, I feel sorry for you. With Kagome saying, yeah. But she, that's not really, this isn't really her saying anything. So I think this is more her, like, being empathetic. Like, she's not saying anything, but she's empathizing with what Kururugi's feeling, because until she had to deal with Yura of the Hair, Kagome was pretty much in the same boat. She didn't know if she could go back to the present until Yura pushed her down.
僕もう家に帰れないんだ。父さん、母さん。
This one is... I don't know about this one. Because the translation I'm getting from both sources, it's giving me the same thing of I can't go home anymore. But I don't think that really sounds right. But the English version had Kururugi respond with, "You mean I can't get home?" when no one really implied that, just that they didn't really know how they could help. So, I guess given the situation, the translation should be... No, I really can't think of anything better, so I guess... him kind of mumbling, I can't go home anymore. Mom. Dad. Let's see. And then, yeah, this is basically InuYasha going, ugh, you're so annoying. Why are you so depressed? Or why are you so upset? So basically, same thing from the English.
InuYasha, そういう言い方はないでしょ?
And then, of course, Kagome berating InuYasha. Like, just telling him, you don't need to say it like that.
うるせえな。うちに帰れねえからって死ぬわけじゃねえだろ。
And then here... Yeah, no, this is in line with InuYasha. InuYasha is telling Kagome to shut up, and then focusing back on Kururugi. Just because you can't go home doesn't mean you're going to die.
それはそうだけど、もうちょっと優しい言い方があるじゃない。
Or that's him trying to explain to Kagome. Whichever. He still tells her to shut up. And then Kagome saying, that's true, but isn't there a more gentle way to say it?
Kagome, InuYasha, 喧嘩は
Okay, now this is a little interesting because in the English version, Shippo raises his voice to say, Kagome, InuYasha, stop fighting! But here, he's definitely not raising his voice. And the translation here is... Yeah, okay, so the translation here, I think, according to Google Doc, is Kagome, InuYasha, fighting is... So I think better worded would be, again, addressing the both of them, Kagome, InuYasha, but fighting now is, like he's trying to say, would be a very bad idea. So Shippo trying to cautiously be like, this does not seem like a good time for you two to fight, so can you not? Instead of the English version where Shippo again raises his voice and yells at them both to stop fighting. And then here... Oh, come on. InuYasha is saying... Even, the translation comes out as, just because I say it nicely doesn't mean you can go home. In the English version... Let's see... The English version, he says, being nice isn't going to find the way home. I think the better wording here would be... Even if I said it nicely, it won't help you get home. I think that would be the better wording. And then here... he finishes with, if you want to go home, just find a way to do it. Which... English version was... Oh, come on. If you want to go home, you need to find a way to do that, which... Yeah. More or less the same thing. But... it is my cutoff time, so... This is where we're going to have to stop. Which is interesting, because we haven't even left Kaeda's village. Yet if we played the English version, I was able to get as far as beating the first boss. Running stuff through translator definitely takes up a lot of time. So, next time, we'll continue on from here. Because thankfully I'm running this on emulator, which means I can save state. So no need for save points when I can just make a save state and load up wherever and whenever. So, until next stream, when we continue on with the Cursed Mask, this has been the Azure Guardian. See ya.